I am fully in accord with all that Brother Ahmad said about Jesus coming back alive from the dead. Everything he says is true. Jesus was alive in the body and manifest being alive in the body in all of his appearances following the crucifixion. But what Brother Ahmad still does not understand is that when Jesus said flesh and bones, he did not say flesh and blood. He gave his blood when he died upon the cross, and he did not miraculously receive it back. He came into the upper room in a bloodless body, evidenced by the fact that the holes in his hands and feet and side were not oozing blood out on the carpets. In the distinction between the alive and the resurrection, Brother Ahmad needs to study further this point. Jesus said that he would lay down his life, he would take it again, and he would do it, and he would come back and be with them, which he did. But 40 days afterwards, he ascended, leaving the physical body behind and ascending in the resurrected body. In Jesus' case, occurring 40 days after the crucifixion. And in his words to Mary, as quoted by Ahmad, I have not yet ascended. In the discussions which we have had about the sign of Jonah, Ahmad needs to look further into the text also. When Jesus said, as Jonah was 3 days and 3 nights in the earth, the Greek word is there hosper, as indeed. It does not express a comparison of identical nature. It is comparing some loose sense of comparison. Had the author intended an exact relationship, he would have needed to use hosautos or some such conjunctive adverb. As to the 3 days and 3 nights, Christendom did not celebrate Good Friday for more than 300 years after the coming of Christ, when many traditions crept in that were foreign to the New Testament. The New Testament teaches that there were 2 Sabbaths, a high Sabbath and a Sabbath a week co-joining, and that Jesus was crucified then on Thursday, not Friday, and his body lay in the tomb over the 2 days of the Sabbath. Again, I want to thank you for your wonderful courtesy. God bless you, everyone.
Thank you. While I begin with some remarks as to how we should conduct the question-answer session, I would like to ask those who wish to have questions to line up in the front here so that they can use the microphone. Now, we have about 10 minutes or so for questions. I understand that this is a very limited time, so I would have to be, with your permission, very strict on these rules. First of all, a question, is not a speech or mini-speech. You have only a few seconds to put your question directly and to the point. Number 2, if any of the audience have more than one question, ask only one so as to give a chance to other brethren, and get back to in the queue. You may have a chance if there is time allowed. I would like again to appeal to all audience never to interject anything from the floor or comment. Let people ask their questions briefly and the speakers will answer them. Again, I'd like to insist on that, a few seconds. No preliminary comments. No preliminary comments. Directly to the question. The first brother, please.
I'd like to ask both speakers why they didn't mention the fact that there are 49 references to crucifixion in the New Bible, and to the word raised or resurrection in Arabic qama. In all languages there are more than 7 references in front of me to the actual word being raised, and why they didn't refer both of them to the fact that external evidences in history has spoken about the actual crucifixion of Christ by the Roman authorities.
Thank you. Would any of the speakers wish to answer first?
With regards to the word risen or resurrected, in the 4 Gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, not once is the word resurrection used in connection with Jesus that he is resurrected. Not once. In the 4 Gospels, there is not a single reference.
Thank you, Mr. Deedat. No interjection. Please get back in the line, and you may have a chance if there is. We have to give just a minute, please. We have to look at behind you and see how many people are waiting. Please give a chance to others. Would Professor Floyd wish to comment on that? Briefly also, please. Please. No, Ya Akhi, you're not the chairman of the meeting. I will tell him. So please, keep quiet. You wait until Professor Floyd answers. No, go ahead.
I'm not sure that I heard the question with the disturbance involved, but if I understand the question, it is about the use of the word resurrection. And of course the Bible refers both to the fact that Jesus arose on istemi and that he was alive. And this is the teaching of Scripture, that Jesus was resurrected and Jesus was alive.
Thank you, Professor Floyd. The next questioner.
This question is to either Professor Floyd or Mr. Deedat.
Can you get a bit close to the mic so that everybody can hear you?
The question is for both speakers, really.
Okay.
It may sound a bit irrelevant, but I'm very anxious to know if Jesus has said anything about the coming of Muhammad, please, in the Bible.
Okay, the question is whether Jesus said anything about the coming of Muhammad. In the chair, I would like to rule that this is not relevant to the specific topic for tonight. If there is a chance after the questions are answered, we might be able to get to that. Thank you. The next.
I understand from Professor Clark's lecture that Jesus Christ gave his life for the sins of humanity, and also that death is the sort of penalty of sins. If that is true, that simply means that the concept of reward and the concept of punishment is lost. Then you can go on committing the sins and there's nothing to stop it from you.
Okay, your question is directed to any of
Professor Clark, please.
To Mr. Deedat. To Professor Clark. Okay.
Would you repeat it? I'm not hearing.
I didn't hear it. Would you repeat it, but provide, please, come to the point, straightforward.
The points are two. You see, from Professor Clark's lecture, I understand that Jesus Christ gave his life for the sins of humanity. And the second point is that the death is sort of penalty of sins. Therefore, it implies that you can keep on committing sins and nothing to stop it from you, because the concept of reward and punishment is completely lost if we believe in this thing.
Okay. I think my understanding is that he says
that will us to heal sin. Yeah. Claiming that Jesus redeemed us. So we'll commit sins as much as we can.
Again, we're having difficulty. I'm old enough to, in this sort of thing, not to be able to pick up all that is being said, but if I understand the question is, if Jesus died for the sin of the world, does that encourage everybody to sin? Is that the question?